Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be recapping the top teams and the terms for the Ultimate Siege so that you guys can rank as high as possible. I'm going to be showing the pay to win teams because Splash has shared some of the teams that he's been running, and then I'm going to show you the teams I'm running on my main account, which are more obtainable. Maybe you won't be able to run them exactly, and then I will show you some other options instead of that. Okay, right now we have 462 billion damage. We're running 5 in the district. Splash has 506 billion, which is absolutely crazy. I thought even breaking 500 billion would be impressive, and like it's soon after reset he already has 506 billion. So we're going to take a look at the team formation for the Immortal Squad. The cool thing about this is that this first team is also what Splash ran to get 119 billion, and it's what I used to get my 108 billion score. So this is a team you're going to run. Even if you have one copy Tailene, you're going to want to run this team. It is one of the top Immortal Squad teams out there. Arcane Spell, as for the charms, Nero doesn't matter, just get him full mythic charms for the stats. Thorin, again, doesn't really matter, just get him mythic charms. They don't even have to complete the set. Ludovic, insight charms will help a bit. His damage is not really that high, but it is meaningful, and so that will help him. Most important is Tailene, blast charms. Even if you have her one copy, she is the most important to get charms onto and refine them. Viperion, I found sorcery charms to do the best for me, so you can go with those. For the team number 2, now I don't have Hodgkin. Otherwise, rather than Igor in the same tile, you'll want to run Hodgkin. That is the overall optimal, and I'll show you Splash's formation because that is what he used to get 119 billion. But if you don't have Hodgkin, Igor is fine. If you don't have Igor, you could even run, for example, Sylvina here. Yeah, basically any other Graveborn hero who you have highly ascended, it will be a sacrifice for your backline heroes. Resonating Spell, Carolina, these charms are really important. Arcane, and refine them. And Cecia, Gale charms, and preferably refine them. Her damage is pretty high. And Igor, I just try to give him as much attack as possible because I know he's my sacrifice. So I gave him Titanic charms. And these are the damage charts that you can see here. Now looking at Splash's team. Splash's team 1 is exactly the same, which you got 119 billion damage with. The charms, again, doesn't really matter on Nero. Thorin, he has these, but honestly, when you take a look at the damage output of Thorin, it doesn't matter. You do not need these charms onto Thorin. The Ludovic, insight charms he has, Tailene, blast charms, and refined. Viperion, sorcery charms like we have. The Cecia, Gale charms, Carolina, arcane charms, resonating spell on Carolina, and then finally Hodgkin on blast charms. And I do think blast are better than arcane charms for Hodgkin. They seem like they deal a bit more damage, but both are fine options. And these are the damage charts, as you can see right here. And he got 119 billion and we got 108 billion even with the Supreme Tailene, which is pretty good. Okay, let's move on to the other team. So Dauntless Squad. Today I got my all-time record, and this is also the team Splash is running. He got 127 billion damage with it, but this is the Mauler team you want to run if you have Reese. But if you don't have Reese, there's a great other option from Thib here, which I will show you. So here is the formation. You're going to have Shakir with the Mystic Charms. You're going to have Kruger with the, it doesn't matter, like Mystic Charms, Sorcery Charms, whatever. His damage is pretty high, so I would recommend Mystic Charms, but Sorcery Charms seem to be doing well as well. Both are giving more damage. And then you have Reese. Reese on the Butcher Charms, ideally. His damage is kind of low in this fight, but still, it is important. Smokey on anything that gives skill power, that will increase the attack buff value for your team. Seth, Mystic Charms. Seth is crazy. 30 billion damage at just +5 exclusive equipment on my account. And you're going to give him the Mystic Charms and refine them. This is going to be really important. And go for the front line as well. This is the team formation if you have Reese. For team number 2, you're going to have Elsa on the resonating tile with the overloaded charms. Refine them if possible, because if you look at her damage, it is very, very high. So the heroes which deal the most damage, those are the priority for you to refine. Odie with the Gale charms and refine them. And Mikola with the anything that gives her skill power to increase the attack power of your allies with her buff. That is basically the team comp. And these are the formations. Let's go ahead and look at Thib. This is really impressive. 120 billion damage, only 2 billion lower than this, and he's not even using Reese. The team without Reese is also very competitive, but for me, I also did testing. It's always doing around 2 billion damage lower. So it's better to run the Reese team if you have him. But this is a great option if you don't have Reese. So Reese is not really needed, but Seth is really important. So you have the Seth again. Mystic Charms, Sorcery, Recovering Charms onto the Smokey. Shakir with the Mystic Charms. Kruger, he has his Cheetah Charms here. He still deals a lot of damage. And then Mikola with the arcane charms. This is going to be the team number 1, Mikola on team number 1 rather than team 2. And instead of Mikola on team 2, you're going to run Coco and Odie on the resonating tile rather than the Elsa here. Odie with the Gale charms, Elsa with the Overlord charms, and you should refine them. And then Coco with the Sturdy charms. Elsa still deals a lot of damage even when she's not on the resonating tile, so I still think refining them would be good. But again, really impressive score from Thib. Here, really good team formation. This is a great option if you don't have Reese. If you don't have Seth, like even at Mythic Plus, for example, you can replace Seth for Soren. If you don't have Soren, you would have to replace for like Brutus or something. Basically, any other physical damage. But you can try this team, even at lower ascension Seth, and see how it works out. But basically, these are the team comps for and charge for Dauntless Squad. Moving on to the Sylvan Squad. So we have me and Smash are running exactly the same team. However, he has 7 billion higher, which is not even that much higher, to be honest. We got a really good score with this team. And yeah, I'm impressed with it because my Lenya is only not even Supreme Plus yet. She's only Supreme. And the Supreme Plus would give her more Ascension stats. So this is the team formation both me and Splash are running. This is the optimal team, and also is quite free-to-play friendly because it's not using any, like, other than Rainier as a Hypogean Celestial, it's not using anything other than that. It's not using Diurnal. Like, this Lenya team is basically doing as good or even better than the Diurnal team, so you don't need Diurnal for Sylvan Squad. So Lenya will need to have the Butcher Charms, and you should refine them. I don't even have them refined on this account, and we still got a really good score somehow. A lot of it does come down to the RNG of this fight. This fight has a lot of RNG on it. Mystic Charms onto the Leica. Brian, and Mystic Charms are very important for Leica. It increases your damage by a lot. She deals good damage, and also it increases the attack speed buff for your allies. Brian with Ruthless Charms are doing the best for people, so that is recommended. Rainier with the Mystic Charms, and Haywin with the... doesn't really matter. Like, people just wanted to give her anything that boosts her recovery or even Insight Charms, I think, would be recommended to increase her tankiness and also the effectiveness of her heals from her skills. So that is basically the team formation and the charms. For team number 2, it is going to be this Parissa on the resonating buff tile. If you take a look at her damage, isn't even that high. It's really Lily May actually doing still most of the damage. So the major priority is Sorcery Charms and refine them for Lily May. Then try to get the Swift Charms for Parissa and refine them if you can. But her damage isn't like through the roof. And then Iron, either Cheetah Charms, Mystic Charms, anything is a good option. And that is going to be what you want to do. Now for Splash, he has exactly the same team, but pretty much maxed out on investment. As for the Charms, Butcher and refined on Lenya, Mystic onto Leica. I think the problem is, I think he would get a higher score if he would switch Brian to Ruthless, although Arcane is also doing well for people, so I don't know. And then Mystic for Rainier, and then his Haywin doesn't even have a complete set. And then for the team number 2, it is no set on Iron, Sorcery onto Lily May, and then Swift onto Parissa. So those are the key heroes to have charms, and refine them if you can. So that is done for Sylvan Squad. Now the final one, which is the most difficult, because Aurora Squad, if you want to compete for the top ranks, you have to have Harak. Harak is really important for the top ranking team. However, you can get a good score. As you can see here, we got 117 billion without even having Harak, and also with only having Sinbad as Supreme, not even Supreme Plus yet. But I'll talk about some different options. So here, basically, your carries are going to be Corin, Cassidy, and Sonya. These are your carries that you're going to want to run. And as you can tell here, Cassidy is by far the biggest damage carry if you don't have Harak. This is who is going to be doing the bulk of your damage. So this is the team formation. You want to have acute charms on a Cassidy. That will increase her damage the most. And if you're running this Cassidy version as her as a carry, not without Harak, then upgrading her charms, refining them is a priority. If you're running the Cassidy in the Harak team, she gets devoured early and then it doesn't matter. You don't need to refine the charms. But if you're running it like here where she's my carry, you want to refine her charms. Then you have Corin with the Insight Charms. That is going to be important. And by the way, main Frester in front of Sonya, Illusion in front of Rowan. So Insight Charms on Corin, that is a good option. Then you have Sonya for the Arcane Charms, increasing the value of her buffs and her damage. Rowan with the Wizard Charms to increase the amount of energy generation with his ultimate. And then Fresto with the Sorcery Charms, although Fresto, yeah, I mean, he does do a decent amount of damage. And for the team number 2, as you can see here, all of the damage is basically done by Merrily. And Lucius is to keep your team alive. So Lucius, a lot of people should have. But other option for Sinbad is you can basically run Vala for example, but it's weaker. If you run Vala here rather than Sinbad, your team is overall going to be a bit weaker. Sinbad has useful buffs, or debuffs, sorry, to increase your damage output, and his damage is not bad either. And so if you have him even at Mythic Plus, you want to be running him in this team. And you have the Merrily with the Overlord charms and refine them. Very big priority because you've seen the damage here. She is topping the chart for damage. So you really want to refine those charms. Lucius, Wizard charms because those increase the value of his shielding to protect your team. And Sinbad, Gale charms, and you can refine them. Like his damage is not bad, so you can refine them if you want, but you don't need to. It is up to you, basically. So with this team, I managed to get 117 billion, which is honestly pretty good. But what is crazy is that I didn't even see this team. So he is running a different team with Sonya as actually the carry on the buff tile and Cassidy off of it, and his team number 2 is doing better. I think actually he got a lot of the score from the team number 2. If you compare it to my Lucius, basically the Hugin is better. So Hugin is actually going to be an upgrade, and you're going to run Hugin in front of Merrily. It's going to ramp up Merrily's damage more just from the charm effect, like the quality bonus of the charms, because Merrily is not going to remain in that mechanized bond tile for a long time, but he's also going to shield and protect your team. So if you have Hugin, this is another team you can run. I didn't even think about this, but this is a great option. If you don't have Harak but you went for Hugin, this is going to be a better team too. Yeah, because my team would never be able to get up to 120. 117 is basically the limit of it. And but maybe if I upgraded my Sinbad to Supreme Plus, things would be different. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is a really solid team with Hugin, so you should try this if you have it. And this is another version, basically, without Cassidy on the buff tile. And maybe this would work also better for you if, for example, your Cassidy is like lower ascended and you want to run her. You can run Sonya, who is built up on the buff tile instead, like we have here. Again, main Frester in front of the Sonya illusion in front of Rowan, I'm assuming. Usually that's always the case with these. Yeah, it is going to be that. Okay, but that is going to be another great team that you can definitely try to run if you don't have Harak, okay? So, and as for the charms, Hugin, Mystic charms, Sinbad, Gale charms, and he had Sorcery charms on Merrily. Like, then when you see things like this, you wonder, do charms even matter that much? I'm sure they do, but any basically offensive option can work, but Overloaded is considered the best. It would probably boost his score even more. Okay, now we're coming to the overall all-time best Harak team. Now, there are actually two formations of this. This is the one Splash uses, and he got 138 billion damage with it, which is the highest I've basically seen. But the version that I use, like on my other, like the higher spender account, is I have the Frester. So here you have main Frester in front of Harak, Illusion in front of Vala. So I have the Illusion up in the upper left corner in front of Sinbad, Sinbad in the middle over here, and Cassidy in front of the Vala. That's basically my positioning, and both of them, they will rely on RNG. If you get good enough RNG, you can get a top score. Like with that formation, I got 135 billion on my the other account, but Splash gets 138 billion. But Splash also has like higher upgrades on all of his heroes, so I don't know which one is actually better, but both of them are basically getting top scores, and also they will rely on RNG. Both of them rely on RNG. Okay, so it's going to be, let's show you the formation. So here we have the formation, Frester on the Sorcery Charms and Refined for Dream Realm, Sinbad, Gale Charms, you can refine them, Cassidy. He has a Cassidy on the Mystic Charms here, rather than the Acute Charms. Yeah, maybe they do better in this team format, because getting 138 billion with this team is crazy. Cassidy still does a lot of damage, and Vala, Reaper Charms, and Harak on the Butcher Charms. You want to have Harak on Butcher Charms for the last Ravaged Realm. But usually balanced charms for Dream Realm, Endless Bosses, and Refined. And for team number 2, you're going to have this team formation, Sonya with the Arcane Charms, Corrin with the Insight Charms, and Merrily with the Overloaded Charms. And you can take a look at the damage chart over here, and that is going to be that. So yeah, I mean, overall, he does get 138 billion. But the thing is, like the other account where I've done the testing from, my Merrily and Corrin are both at plus 10 exclusive equipment as compared to plus 15. So definitely there's a difference there in terms of the stats. And then, I guess the Sinbad isn't as ascended, and the Sinbad is... My Sinbad is only actually plus 10 exclusive equipment over there. So that's kind of the difference. I think both basically formations that I just mentioned are top tier formations. You can see which one does better for you. And both of them will rely a lot on RNG. You'll have to do a lot of runs in order to get that top score. But basically, this is a wrap up of all of the top teams for the Ravaged Realm, with some different, more free-to-play obtainable options. So hopefully you guys can put together some good teams. That is going to be it for this video. Good luck getting a top rank. In terms of the rewards for the final ranking, you want to get in the top 100. This is really important. That is going to give you the maximum stellar crystals, most importantly, but also probably more importantly, a lot of people are looking at this abyssal essence. Although honestly, I'm just going to talk a bit about Abyssal Essence, but everyone wants Abyssal Essence. Is a very valuable resource. It's basically equivalent to 500 Twilight Essences, but you have to use it to plus 25 one of your heroes. Yeah, it's like basically a major jump from the top 200 rewards. But just a note about Abyssal Essence, when you're talking about the vast majority of players who are free-to-play or light spenders, you don't even really have much use of an Abyssal Essence. You need to take a hero, first of all, to plus 15 exclusive equipment before you can even upgrade them to plus 20, and before you can actually use an Abyssal Essence on them. And usually by the time you get a hero to plus 15, you already have 600 like Twilight Essences. You can take them just from raw Twilight Essences up to plus 25 if you wanted to. At least that's my experience. Basically, you're so limited on how many heroes you take to plus 15 that this Abyssal Essence usually doesn't really even have that much value for you. But if you have, for example, if you're like in the mid-spender category, you're upgrading a lot of heroes to plus 15 exclusive equipment, then this is really, it is pretty valuable. But at the end of the day, it is only 2.5% stats. Over time, you're going to get enough Twilight Essences to upgrade them manually that way as well. So don't feel too bad if you can't hit this. But hopefully, you guys, if you're running these top teams, you have the top charms, you do enough attempts every day trying to get your best RNG, you should be able to get a high enough score in order to get the top 100 finish. So good luck with that in your district. But it depends also how competitive it is. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, and share your thoughts with me in the comment section down below. If you have any other teams you want to recommend, you can share them. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll hopefully see you in the next one, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.